up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Coffee Hour. My name is Paul Abernathy, and welcome to the live stream. If you haven't joined us before, again, my name is Paul Abernathy. I'm the CEO and president and executive of the board, whatever, all that good stuff of Electrical Code Academy Incorporated. We're the company that brings you electrical education, training, all that good stuff on all of your social platforms, as well as over on Fast Tracks Tube, which is our exclusive video platform. And I want to shout out to all of our Fast Track students that have been in our programs through the years. We so appreciate what you've done for us and helping us be successful. We could not have done any of it without you guys and gals. So again, thanks for joining us and spending time out of your day to get your day started. I've got my coffee going. I've got my, nothing fancy today. Just our, I think it's Donut House blend. Just chilling out with you, getting the day started. Got a lot to do today. I'm sure you do as well. We're past Monday. Hopefully everything works out better here. I forgot to go live on Instagram. I knew I'd forget something. But, man, welcome to the Coffee Hour. It's great to have you here. Love having you all join me. So, as always, do me a favor. Let me know who you are, where you're from, what you got going on. I love to live vicariously through followers and people that follow us on these different channels. And we're streaming on multiple channels. I think we're on Rumble. We're on Instagram. We're on Fast Tracks Tube, obviously. That's our own proprietary one. We're on YouTube, 2 channels on YouTube. By the way, if you're watching us on YouTube and you haven't subscribed to my other channel, help me out. It's Coffee Hour with Paul. That's the name of it, Coffee Hour with Paul. It's just Coffee Hour. So check that out. It is also on YouTube. We'd love you to subscribe to that as well. Get us up on that so we can start getting a little bit of following on that type of platform. But thanks for joining me. We're also on LinkedIn. If you follow me on LinkedIn, love to connect with you. I share some unique stuff on LinkedIn. We're on LinkedIn, and it's just my name, Paul Abernathy. So if you see this face or you see the hog, you know it's me. And then, of course, we have Electrical Code Academy on LinkedIn as well, which is the business platform. You can watch there if you want. And, of course, Facebook. And Facebook, it's at Master the NEC. So that's where we do it. They don't let you stream anymore to your groups. So that's why I don't stream to the exam prep group because they don't allow you. Facebook doesn't allow you to stream to the groups anymore. So that's why you might notice that you don't see streams going to the groups. It's because they don't allow it. Okay. All right. Well, today we start a series into the multi-family dwelling. And we're going to start out with doing a 12-unit complex. Now, familiar to most of you will be the fact that it comes out of Unit 11 in our Fast Tracks program. One of the toughest units in our program is 8. 8 is tough, 11 and 13. Those are by far, as any of our students will tell you, that is by far the toughest unit. That's the one that will make or break whether or not you think you know what you know. Looking up things in the code, you can get proficient with that. But at the end of the day, being able to do calculations and understand the calculations and how that works and when do you use the optional versus the standard, which is pretty easy on an exam. You always use the standard unless they tell you otherwise. In the real world, you're going to use the optional, except for sizing the neutral, which you're going to end up using the standard, or you're going to size it full size and skip the calculation anyway, but then you're going to be paying for oversizing of a neutral that you may not need to size that. But at the end of the day, if it makes life easier, that's what engineers do. They just size it, be done with it. So there's no way I anticipate us finishing all of this here in a sitting because it's over 70 slides that we put together. And we're going to be using the form function format, which is the forms that we use in our Fast Tracks program, because those forms are designed to help you learn the different steps of a calculation. Okay, so if you don't have those forms, well, you got to be a Fast Track student to get those forms. We have been talking about making them available, but don't email me, don't ask, because the forms, I'm not going to email people forms. If you're in the program, you know about the forms. If you're not, well, there are other forms out there you can find. They're just not our forms, that type of scenario. So anyway, Hey, let's do some shout outs real quick. Again, it does take time up when I do shout outs rather than go right into the lesson. Some people like that, some people don't. I love it because this whole morning thing is because of you guys and because people were emailing me for the last year before we started this saying, Paul, do a morning show, get us started. So that's what we started. And I enjoy doing it in the morning. So let's see here. Crypto, good morning. Glad to have you here. Let's see here. Adam, welcome. Van Man, I see your hashtag for the win. Glad to have you here. Got your coffee flowing. Paul, I see you in here, my friend. Thanks for joining us this morning. Van Man, good morning. Glad to have you here. Eric, thank you, Eric. Glad to have you here. Some of these names I obviously recognize from our regular group that come every day. Love having you here. Terrence, up there in DC, Maryland, Virginia. Terrence, I am doing starting a seminar series this summer in Virginia, okay, for a CEU. It'll be my 3-hour session that I always do, get you CEU credits, but we'll be doing it select locations. Haven't been selected yet. Working with the partner to see about that, but it's going to bring those live shows back now after so many years of being away and COVID. Most people know that the CEU requirement in Virginia, I helped get that started, whether you like it or not. I ended up getting that started years ago with a guy named Eric Olson that worked with DPOR, just because I felt that electricians had to be held to a higher standard. And I do. I believe you should be aware of codes. So we tried to get 8 hours, but it didn't happen. We got 3 hours, but it's better than nothing, right? What's up, Christopher? Welcome. Thanks for joining me. Good morning, Charlie. I see you in here with that hashtag win. Good morning. Hope everybody's doing good. The wife is doing good. The baby's doing good. Rob, good morning. Getting ready for that day. What's up, Tino? Good morning. Glad to have you here. All right. What's going on down in Clearwater, Florida? Love my Clearwater, Florida. Melting Toast lets us know what you're supposed to do here. Hashtag to get in on a spin. We're going to do that today. Edgar's in the house. Good morning, Edgar. Thanks for joining me. Hope you have a blessed day and make some money out there. Mike, what's up? Good morning. Glad to have you here. A lot of hashtag wins going on. We got Haas from right down the road here in Richmond, Virginia. Hey, it's funny. I'm going to be down in Richmond Short Pump this Wednesday meeting electrical contractor for lunch. We're having lunch down there. It's some place called BJ's Deli or BJ something. It's in Short Pump area. We're going to be there. It's going to be cool. Cray, what's up? Nashville. Adam's my promotion guy. Here you go. Portland, Oregon. Sorry about the fact that you're in Portland. I mean, I'm just saying. Okay. But what's up, Frank? Frank the Great's in the house. Nepo's in the house. Good morning, both of y'all. Good morning. Glad to have you here. Mike is throwing out the win. Got my Grace-filled life going on. Love it. From out in Texas. Glad to have you here, Grace. If that's your name, Grace. I assume it's Gracefield. Or just Grace. You're not Grace. Your name's probably not Grace. But I'm sure I'm glad to have you here. Marlon, you're most welcome. Thank you for being here. Good morning. Nick is in the house. Good morning. Jay Orman's in the house. Good morning. Dominic Sanchez. Good morning, Dominic. Thank you for being here, my friend. Glad to have you here. Alex is in the house. That's what we're talking about right there. Look at all the people in the house today. I love it. Good morning, Los Angeles, out in Cali. Terrence just finished his CEUs for his Texas Masters. There you go. Mine would be for Virginia. I'm getting set up to do Virginia again because that's where we want to do our little tour through Virginia. I started doing that. I was the first CEU provider in Virginia when the requirement came out years ago. And I used to do them. I did one in Manassas, then I do one in Roanoke, and I do one in Virginia Beach, and I do one in Charlottesville, and I alternated it because it was so new and everybody was worried about getting their CEUs, and it was crazy. Chrissy, there you go. I'll remember that. Grace-filled life. Chrissy, thank you for joining us, Chrissy. Glad to have you here. And I was doing this all around the state because people had to, it was new, right? They were like, oh, now we got to have continuing ed. Oh, crap. And I had so many people so many people were whining and moaning and groaning. I had the old electricians, the 60-year-old guys, 70-year-old guys, 80-year-old guys sitting in, and they would go, I don't know why I got to do this. And by the time they left the class, continuing education units, Haas, that's what CEU stands for, continuing ed. You have to get a certain number of credits to renew your license in many states. And so the guys would go, I don't want to do this. And by the time my seminar was over, I made it enjoyable. I made it fun. Old guys would come up to me. It's funny because they would come up to me and go, hey, man, I'm glad I did come. I'm glad I sat through it. I'm glad I learned something today. And there are a lot of changes. There are a lot. And I was like, yeah, there were. So, and then they were always a regular, that type of thing. What is sad is I used to also go teach a lot of people in Oklahoma and do a session up there it's funny when you have your older electricians and you go back year after year and different, and you see some of them, you hear and say, hey, what's his name? And, he passed away or and I was like, oh man, that sucks. That sucks. But, because we lose so much of that institutional knowledge when the older electricians pass away. Sometimes stubborn, sometimes don't want to learn new things. But at the end of the day, just those little tips and tricks and life's little bumps and bruises that they've learned that they share. You can't get that stuff back. So here's my tip before we get into the lesson. Here's my tip to the apprentices. Here's my tip to the journeymans. The older electricians may not know the code that well, but if you listen closely, there is a lot of little tips and tricks that can save you a bunch of headache in life if you just shut up and you just listen. You don't have to agree. You don't have to do it always the way they do it. But sometimes out of something they say, there's some little golden nugget that'll be in there that they have done it. I do this stuff with my brother all the time because my brother has been in the field working with his hands longer than me, right? I can never catch up to his experience. And so, while I'm the code guy and he calls me for code, he's the hands guy. And it was always like that in our company. But there is always some little tidbit of hands-on that he has done it and screwed it up or done it and something's messed up and he's learned from it. And if I can learn from it, then I'll never screw that up. So again, take advantage of that. Just be my biggest advice to apprentices and people learning in the trade, be a sponge. Okay? You don't have to do it their way. But you can listen to how they do it. Keep your mouth shut. Listen, absorb, and learn how to filter out what is BS versus fact, and you'll get better at it. You will. You know what I'm saying? That type of thing. Okay? Tito's is, and a helper can teach you tricks that someone else taught them just to open my. Absolutely. That's a great thing because sometimes a helper picked up something from some old guy or somebody else that knew something, and you know what? That may be the only valuable thing at this point in their stage that they can pass on, but you can steal it and learn it. Okay, I always tell people learning the code is essential to be an electrician. People say, I just do it. Dude, it's essential that you learn the National Electrical Code because everything we do is revolved around code. But you also need to learn the little tips and tricks and little things that you wouldn't learn unless you screwed something up. You know what I'm saying? All right, let's get into the lesson today. Oh, by the way, sponsor for today's show is Trade Hog. If you haven't tried it out, go test the hog. It's free. You get up to like 3 tries an hour or 3 things an hour you can do. Go check that out over on tradehog.net. Remember, feed the hog. It learns. The more you use it, the more it learns. Okay, so there we go. All right, so let's get into our lesson today. Comes straight out of Unit 11. We'll be using our handout, by the way. And if you're not familiar with what our handout looks like, let's see here. I'm going to try to do this without screwing something up. Let's see here. Let me see if it works today. Okay, so this is our handout, by the way. Okay, so this is what the hand. See how it's got the fill in the blanks everywhere? You just fill in the blanks. They're all numbered. And it basically, I have people that say, well, and then there's one for the optional method as well. I have people that actually say to me, they say, Paul, why do I want to use the handout? Because I can't use the handouts during the exam. And I'm like, duh, these are handouts to try to teach you the steps so that when you're in that situation, you know the steps. Now, a lot of people take these handouts and they actually laminate them and they keep them in their code book and they use a dry erase pencil or that dry erase marker, and they'll use it to fill it out in order to show the inspector, or fill it out, take a snapshot and submit it so that they kind of get an idea of what their load calc is going to be, just so they feel comfortable. And it's also a great exercise. So some people do that. And then some of them just use pieces of it, to help do a load calc, or maybe even they have to show the inspector something and they can pull this out and say, okay, let me show you what I'm doing here. And it depends on where you're at in the country and how strict they are on something, right? But these make great forms for that. They're not for every scenario. They're just a basic form. We're going to show you how we start to use those today for a multifamily. We're going to do a 12-unit complex today. Okay, so it can get, it really can't get much more complicated than something like that when it comes to multifamily. But we're going to show you how you would use that using the standard method before that. Optional is easier, but we're going to show you how to do the standard method first. And this is going to be a multi-part series, as always. So, all right. If you got questions, put them in the comments. I'm more than happy to try to answer them. If you have a detailed question that's not on the topic for today, then do me a favor, go to paulabernathy.com and submit it there. I'm sure I will answer it for you and get it back to you. And again, as David shows, don't forget to hit the hashtag win to get in on the spin. And I hopefully won't forget to do that. And there'll be hopefully a good cutoff point today in the lesson. Let's see. I hope so. Okay, so this is what we're doing today. Good morning, David. Thanks for joining us. Okay, what are our objectives during this series? Okay, so it's just like in our Fast Tracks program based on Unit 11 for those that are in the program. Good morning, Fernando, over on our Fast Tracks 2 platform. Obviously, that is working today, so awesome. All right, so we're going to explain why the number of dwelling units is essential to performing a multifamily calculation, why you need to know the number. We're going to calculate the general lighting load in a multifamily dwelling. We're going to identify a minimum of volt ampere requirements for small appliance branch circuits. We're going to recall exceptions pertaining to the optional laundry branch circuit when we're doing optional methods in this case. So eventually we'll get to the optional version of this. We're going to apply demand factors to the general lighting load as well as the fasten in place appliances. So we are going to cover that. That's part of our objectives in this series. Okay. We're going to calculate demand loads for the household electric clothes dryers, and we're going to talk about the household electric cooking equipment in this multifamily dwelling. We're going to explain the standard method for calculating a multifamily dwelling, obviously the service. What's up, David? Good morning. Good morning. Glad to have you here. We're going to explain the standard method for calculating a multifamily dwelling unit. I just said that. I'm redundant. We're going to calculate a multifamily dwelling service using the optional method. We're going to calculate heating and air conditioning loads to determine which loads should be inserted into the calculation. And I think I have left something in here on purpose. I can't remember the last time I used this presentation, but I think I left something in here on purpose in order to see if we can figure it out, but I can't remember, so we'll just have to fumble through it. And then, of course, we'll explain, and a lot of times you have larger services, you're going to have to get into paralleling and understanding the concepts of paralleling. And interesting paralleling question I had the other day, by the way, because again, we're going to cover this. Is not going to be done in one episode, okay? We got the rest of the week to do this, so hopefully you tune in. I did have a guy answer me a question the other day about wanting rated MC for parallels. And it's interesting because you don't get MC cables for parallel applications, right? When you parallel, you're trying to get more current. That's why you're paralleling. I mean, that's the only reason you're paralleling. So he wanted to know if they were rated for paralleling. There's no such thing as rating for paralleling when it comes to MC cable. MC cable comes with a standard size equipment ground that's based on the overcurrent device, but it's also limited by the size of the UL standard, which is UL 1569. So it kind of dictates them together, and they work together, right? They harmonize pretty good. The 250-122 harmonizes with UL 1569, but then the manufacturers are restricted to sizes. We can't do something but to a certain size. So they all work out, for the most part, So the engineer was demanding something to be parallel rated, and we had to explain to the engineer that doesn't work like that. Now, can you would ultimately have to get specially made MC with an oversized equipment ground, or you install it in a cable tray and you have some unique allowances in 251.22F, which allows for you to have a single equipment ground that's full sized, whatever the overcurrent is for that parallel circuit. But then, of course, you would use the standard equipment ground that's in all of the standard MCs, and they all come together at each end on the same buses. Then you got some allowances, but it has to be in a cable tray scenario like that for the most plausible application. But he was looking for rated parallel MC, and this is not how it works. You just have to get, if you want an oversized equipment ground, then you have to get it specially made. You can't just pull it off a shelf, that type of thing. Right? So that was an interesting question about paralleling, but that's typically why we parallel. Now, there are going to be some changes in the 2026 edition of the National Electrical Code when it comes to paralleling, even raceways as well as equipment, in MCs or whatever. When you parallel, the equipment ground no longer has to be larger than the largest ungrounded conductor in that specific raceway. Okay, so if you could parallel 20 raceways, and that equipment, it could be a 2,000 amp service, you could parallel 20 raceways. I'm just saying, I know this is probably not going to happen, but you could parallel 20, and the hot conductors end up getting so small because you're paralleling, that equipment ground never needs to be larger than the largest, ungrounded hot conductor. That's the way the code. I disagree with it, but that's the way the code's going to be. So now in that one raceway, you could have a small equipment ground, and it's expected to clear the overcurrent protective device. Now, people say, well, what's the big deal? If the hot conductors can clear a device in a fault, yeah, but there's a difference. It's not part of the safety circuit. To me, that could just blow loose, and all you do is open up the circuit. If you lose the equipment ground, then you lose the safety circuit. So I disagree with their mentality. I argued against it. I said I didn't agree with it, but the code panel went on with what they wanted to do. You know what? Let's just hope that they said it's physics, Paul. It's physics. Let's just hope they get it right and nobody gets hurt. That's all I'm saying. Okay? I know there's somebody out there going, Paul, will you get into the lesson already? Sorry, this is coffee hour. This is how I do it. You don't have to watch. Bye-bye. Bye-bye. Okay. All right. So that's what we're going to get into. We're also going to calculate the neutral and select the appropriate size neutral conductor. And we're going to clarify how grounding electrical conductors as well as equipment grounding conductors are selected in the process of how we do it. So this is what's going to be. So if you come in here tomorrow or you come in the next day, you're going to say, what the hell is the objective? What are we trying to do? Today was the day where the first day, so I'll probably refer you back to today, which is the 11th of March, to go read the objective to see what we're covering, because I'm not going to go over the objective again every morning. So this is just to set the tone for multiple days, okay? So that's why this is taking me longer, because I want to set the tone on what we're going to do, because this is a lot of information, and you're not going to want to miss the next 3 or 4 days. And you want to share it with other people on your job site. Let them know this is where they need to be in the morning to learn multifamily. All right. Introduction. I'm going to read it to you because I want to make sure we know exactly what we're doing. Strong similarities exist between multifamily dwelling load calculations and one-family dwelling load calculations. Both can be performed by a standard method as well as an optional method. In fact, the similarities are so strong that this is reflected in the very design of the load calculation form that we're going to be using today. Christopher, today's your birthday. Whoop, whoop. Let's see. Do I have anything for that? I just got some clapping. And happy birthday, Christopher. What's it like? 21, baby. You'll never be 21 again, bro. I'm just saying. All right, so they're so similar. In fact, therefore, obviously beneficial to have a clear understanding of a one-family dwelling load. So hopefully you understand one-family dwelling, that you did one-family dwelling with us. You followed that series that we did a couple weeks ago. You feel comfortable with it, okay? Because this is going to build on that, because it's the same principles, okay? Don't make it brain surgery. You know what I'm saying? Okay. All right. So anyway, where was I at? It is obviously essential to these calculations to know the total number of dwelling units. You got to know how many dwelling units you're using being supplied by the service. To illustrate this point, we had two main service disconnecting means supplying power to 12 units must be calculated on the basis of 6 units per service. So it's a 12-unit complex, 6 units each, okay? Performing a service calculation of 12 units and then dividing the final figure by 2 would render inaccurate results, okay? So it's so important for us to understand that we could not do performing a service calculation on 12 units and just simply dividing it by 2 based on how we're going to be presenting these calculations. So it's so important that you stick with us and see how we're going to be doing this piece by piece, okay? All right. As with all calculations, as with any calculation that you try to do, you need to gather the right information. I don't care how complicated it is. I don't care if it's an inconvenience and you're like, dude, they don't give me all this information. It is your job to try to find this information. What? You need to gather all the load calculation information needed to be calculated for each service. For the service consisting of 12 units, apartments or condominiums, you need to compile the essential information for all 12 units. Now, these may be identical units. It may be the same in every single unit, but it may not be. Okay, but that is your responsibility to do that. On an electrical exam, they're going to give you everything. Now, I will say this, the chances of you getting a 12-unit complex calculation or something that's a big multifamily calculation on a typical electrical exam is slim to none. What you will get, however, is it may ask you little pieces of this journey we're getting ready to go on. Little pieces of it, but not the whole thing, okay? It's very rare for that to happen because they don't give you don't typically have enough time to do that, okay? All right, now, if the service consists of only 6 units, gather the data for those 6 units. Since most multifamily dwellings have a limited number of floor plans, compile the information pertaining to each unit type, okay? So if you know that this floor plan or this, the guy I'm going to see Wednesday, for example, his name is Jason. Jason is doing a big multifamily. I'm hoping to get some video footage of that in the future because he does great work and has some great guys, and I think it makes some great footage, okay? Good morning, Peter. Thanks for joining us. But I would love to get some pictures, some of his drawings, and so that I can show you the different layouts, and I'll talk to him Wednesday and see what we can get. And if y'all think of anything you want me to ask him to be able to bring to the show, just let me know before Wednesday of this week. Just send a message to me at paulabernathy.com. And I love to bring you what you want to see. The big services, the switch gear, whatever you want. All right. Be sure that each unit is grouped in unit type, contains the same information. That is total square feet, small appliance brand circuits, laundry brand circuits, appliances, and so on. So each unit, each style, each floor plan, make sure you know how many of this one you're going to have, how many of this one you're going to have, how many of this one you're going to have, what's germane to that one. Okay, this floor plan has 3 small appliance brand circuits, 2 laundry, yada, yada, yada. Okay, that is your goal. That's kind of like a takeoff, if you will. Not like with your pricing or bidding, but basically a list of gathering of the things for each unit. Okay, all right. And now, for ease of demonstration in this section, again, we're going to say they're all the same. But it wouldn't matter if they were different. You just compile each one differently, and as you get to them, you just use that information, okay? So we're just going to say they're all the same in this one, but at the end of the day, you're just adding things up, okay? So don't make it overly complicated. Don't let your brain start swirling around and make it complicated. I have a lot of problem with some students overcomplicating things. What's up, John? Thanks for joining us. Glad to have you here. Okay, so let's look at our dwelling units. What we've got in our dwelling units. So all of ours are the same for this one. Now, if they were different, you just add up the totals separately. Okay, don't overcomplicate this. In this case, they're all the same. So every one of these units are 30 by 35. Okay, so moving forward in this, so part 2, part 3, as we move forward, they're all the same. So if you got Notepad and you want to jot this stuff down and you really want to work these things with us on the fly, I love it. Jot it down. If you're in the car like Adam, don't do it. All right, so the dwelling is 30 by 35. All right, each one of these units, these dwelling units, has 2 small appliance branch circuits. Okay, so we know we have to have a minimum of 2. Okay, 210.11. All right, we have at least 1 laundry circuit. Okay, not a problem. We have electric water heater. It's 4,500 kW. And I know this may be hard for you to see on the screen. That's why I'm dictating it for you. Okay. Oh, and also let's do a shout out to those out on TikTok who are watching behind the scenes. Come on over and join us. We're over on the YouTube channel. Hit us up on the YouTube channel. Let's go. All right. Dishwasher is a 10 ampere 120. And y'all all know how we're going to get VA, right? Amps times the volts. That's right. And here we got a microwave oven, 10 amps, 120. We have an in-sink waste disposer, which is 7.2 amps at 120. We have an electric clothes dryer, which is 5 kW, okay, at 240. We have an electric range. It's a 12 kW. Each one of these units has a 12 kW range, okay, and that is 240 volts. Marco, welcome. Glad to have you here, Marco. I saw you pop in there. Electric heat is flat out, we're going to give you a 5 kW electric heat. So we're going to say that could be either heat strip, central heat. For our cases, we could say it could be a baseboard heat, but it's probably not baseboard. But we're just saying we're going to treat it as heat, okay? Flat out heat. There's no mention in here of a heat pump, anything like that, okay? Let's see. We're just going to say that here's an air handler that's going to blow all that air around for both the heat and the cool. Okay, that's how we're going to go with it. We got air conditioner compressor. That's 14 amps at 230 volts. Yes, you use what they gave you. Okay. Do not say, well, 230, I'm going to use 240. Not when you're doing a load calc and they give you the values, because that tells you that somebody's already calculated this thing out. So don't overcomplicate life. All right. And in the scheme of life, it's not going to make that big a difference. So condensing fan motor, 2 amps. Okay. And again, with all of this, as always, and as it states in the code, we're going to assume the water heater, the clothes dryer, the range, electric heat, all that KW, we're going to all assume that equates to kVA. Okay. So that 5 kW clothes dryer is 5 kVA. Electric range, 12 kW is 12 kVA. So when we get to the end, even if we have kW or watts, we're going to ultimately just transpose that into VA, okay? Make life simple, because ultimately at the end of the day, we want to get to VA, all right? All right, so first things first. So the first thing we're going to do after we've compiled everything and we're using our forms, this is what I love about the form. Flat out teaches you the steps. The very first step in the process using the form right here. The very first process is it says, you know what? We need to take that multifamily dwelling and I need to start calculating out what the general lighting and receptacle loads are. And it gives you the code reference. And as with all students, you should stop and go read the code reference even when you're using the form, right? So it just gets you used to moving in and out. And that's structured learning. Rather than flipping here, flipping there, flipping everywhere, you learn to do this by going from something back into the code, back out, back in, back out. So our first thing is we're going to do here, and I want to show you that this harmonizes. This is exactly the situation we had yesterday, folks. It is not showing the form. I am going to be, I think I'm making an announcement now that I'm going to be leaving EVMux, okay? I am going to be moving away from it because it's obviously not working. I know you can see it, but I can't. So I'm going to be moving away from it. But anyway, we'll go here. So here you go. You see right here, this is line 1 right here. Line 1 right there is what we're going to be working on in the lesson, okay? All right, so let's get back over here to the lesson. Okay, all right. Okay, there we go. So here we go. So we're working a lesson right here. So notice that it already fills in the 3 VA, right? 3 VA. I'm not going to do that while I'm live. And that has nothing to do with why it's not showing up. So let me just kind of go roll with it. I don't want to get into that. It gets me distracted when I try to go full with stuff while I'm live. It's just, I can't focus that way. All right, I got ADD anyway, so it makes it difficult for me. All right, so here's our lighting. If you go to 240.21, then what you'll see is that it states that it's still 3 VA, okay? 3 VA per square foot, right? And so if we took that 30 by 35, and we got our calculator, our trusty Casio here, and we did 30 by 35, and that gives us, trusted Casio says 1,050, right? So we have 1,050, that is our square footage. So as the form, and we'll always check the form, see if the form's right. We'll do 3 times, because it's 3 VA per square foot. Remember, that didn't change. Times 1,050, I should say. 1,050, that's our outside dimensions, right? That is the dimensions that we want to use. And I'm pretty sure that, yep, still doesn't show up here for me. And I'm going to delete it. And I'm going to bring it back. And I don't know that it shows it, but we'll see here. Okay, back here. And let's see, I assume that it's showing it. I just deleted it and brought it back. So we'll go to 220.41. Okay, so this is where we're at, 220.41 right here. And you can see right here, this is where we get in our 3 VA per square foot. Again, see, this is a minimum unit load, 220.41, 1 family, 2 family, and multifamily dwellings, minimum unit load. So we're calculating the unit load per individual unit right now, okay? And here's where we get the 3 VA per square foot, okay? Does that make sense? All right. Okay, back to here, okay. Good morning, Daryl. Thanks for joining us. All right, so let's just do the math here. 3 times 1,050 times 12 units is 37,800. Is that right, Paul? Give me a calculation here on it. So here you can see, this is where you put in the number of units on our form, the multifamily form, right? So that takes the place, because that's consistent with all the units, right? They're all the same. There's 12 of them, and we're trying to get the total amount of the general lighting and general use receptacle. Remember, these are your general use receptacles. As it's explained in 220.41, this is in the 2023 edition of the NEC. So in this scenario, it is telling us that it's 3 VA per square foot, use the outside dimensions, and this also covers general use, all general use outlets of 20 amperes or less. So this is your living room, this is your bedrooms, this is your basements and things like that. All of this is all of that in that square footage. We got no basement in this one because this is an apartment, but you get the point, okay? Also, in our form, it does tell you right here what's not to be included, okay? So that's good stuff here. All right, so that's 37,800. So that is our general use. That has nothing to do with small appliance and laundry yet. That's just our general use and lighting and receptacle loads, okay? Next, let's knock out those small appliances. Boom, we have 2 of them. Y'all remember now, 210.11c1 says you have to have a minimum of 2. Y'all know that. You have a minimum of 2 small appliance brand circuits. That's in 210.11c1. Notice it gives a code reference right here. That's why these forms are so awesome. You would stop and go look that up. We won't, because y'all all know it's 2. But here is where you get the values at, 220.52a. That's where it tells you that each small appliance is 1,500 VA. See, notice it's no different. We're just doing a single unit like we did a single family dwelling. Nothing's changing. The only difference is there's 12 of them, okay? So 1,500 times 2 times 12, because there's 12 units, okay? And this is step 2 in the form, okay? We're going to double check the math. Paul says the math is correct. So we're going to do 1,500 times 2 is 3,000 times 12 is 3,600. Okay. Let's see if y'all can find if there's a bonehead in the math somewhere. Let's see who's following along with that. Okay. So anyway, boom, we've already knocked out those 2. Standard method. Okay. Number 3, laundry. We have 1. And remember, 210.11c2, we have to have it's at least one laundry. Okay. Now we'll talk about later if we don't have a laundry in our dwelling unit because we have an on-site facility. At this point, we don't because our dwelling unit stated that we have a laundry circuit. Okay. But you could get a multifamily dwelling that doesn't state anything about the laundry. And then you're saying, well, don't I have to assume a laundry circuit because that's a requirement in 210.11? And the answer would be yes, unless you read the details and you find out that there's a laundry facility on site that's available to all the tenants or all the apartments holders, whatever. And then you can deviate from that. Okay. But that's not in ours because ours gives a laundry circuit. So you're going to account for a laundry circuit. And so what does it say? Well, 220.52b says that it's 1500 VA, just like the small appliance was. All right. So it's 1500 VA times the number of laundry circuits you have. We only have one because one is required here. Okay. Because there was no mention of a facility on this one. Right. So 1500 times 1 times 12. Okay. 18,000. Okay, so we're going to check the math. 10 times 12 is 18,000. The Casio doesn't lie. All right, so we're just clicking along. All right, check. Let's do a check here for everybody. Let's see if we make sure everybody. All right, let's see some answers here in the questions. Each required 20 amp branch circuit for laundry purposes must be calculated at what? 1200, 1500, 1800, or 2400? You should have just saw that. Let's see who's watching. Let's go. Let's get some interaction. Let's go. First person that answers it gets a spin. Could be delay. Boom! Miles answered it. Miles, let's go to the contest real quick and let's spin. Let's spin for you, Miles. Let's go. Let's spin for Miles. Miles is the first one to answer that question. Might be a delay for some of you, but Miles got it. Sweet. All right, good job. All right, let's get back to the lesson. All right. There you go. 1500, number 2. Okay. All right, let's move on. Okay. So now that we've done that, and we're doing a standard method. Okay. So what we've done is we gathered the totals from line 1, line 2, and line 3. So let's just reiterate what it is and let's make sure our math is right. Okay. So it should be 91,800. Let's make sure our math is right. Okay. I can't help that. I really can't help the platforms. It is what it is. I recommend YouTube. It's the fastest platform. But so 37,800 plus 36,000 plus 18,000. 91,800. So looks like we're right so far. Whoop, whoop. Good morning, Michael. Thanks for going. What platform is he on? Miles? Let's see. I'll look and tell you. I can tell you what platform Miles is on. Miles got the answer here. Miles is on YouTube. Good job, Miles. All right. I know, Tino. I know you're joking. I like ragging people. If I rag you, that means I'm comfortable, right? Because I like to tease, that type of thing. All right. Where was I? Okay. So there we go. Now, there is the 91,800. All we did was add that stuff up. Now we get to apply the demand factors to all of this. Now, here's where people get confused, right? Because they're like, well, wait a minute. That's what I did when it was a single dwelling unit. But I can do that also on the standard method for the multi? Yeah, what's the difference? The only difference is you got 12 of them versus one of them. It's still the same thing. So a lot of times people overcomplicate it. It's the same steps. You don't change anything. It's just more numbers, right? So where do we get that in the NEC? All right. Obviously, that's not working again. That's not working again either. So I can go over here to this here, and now all of a sudden it seems like it's working again. Wow. All kinds of problems we got going on this morning. Again, it's not Monday. It's like deja vu. All right. So here we are, the general right here, and this is where we're doing it right here. Okay. We're able to use the allowances of 220.45. Okay. And as you can, let's see here. Let's do this. So as you can see here, what this states is for dwelling units. Notice it's plural. Okay. First 3,000, 100%. The next 117,000, or 3,001 through 120,000, however you like to say it, however makes you feel good. That is 35%. And then anything over that is 25%. So it's 100% first 3,000, next 117,000 is 35, and the remainder of that above that is 25%. Okay. All right. So that's what it says in the code. Okay. All right. So that's what we're going to do. So here's and this is how the form works. Okay. Good morning, Alex. Glad to see you here. And so I'm going to make Paul my math guy, because he's a sign guy, so you know he's all about the numbers. So Paul is my math checker moving forward in this series. So that means, Paul, you're committed. You got to be here. You got to check the math. All right. So here we move it here down to here, and we're going to take that 3,000 away. We'll bring it back. Don't worry. We're going to bring it back, but we're going to move it aside right here. Okay. So we take that 91,800, take 3,000 away. That gives us 88,800. Okay. Now, if it's 117,000 or less, because again, it was that next 117,000. Well, it's not. It's 88,000. Okay. So we can skip to 8. So you just go right here. Put it right here. Okay. Paul, keep whipping Ace. He is on it. All right. So 88,800 right here. So again, smaller than line 5, okay, or 117,000, okay. All right, so yeah, so it is. So we get to do this portion here at 35%, because remember what it said: first 3,000 and 100. The next 117,000, and this is only 88,000, so it's nowhere near 100. That's how we talk about it. That's how I do it, so that you can recognize it immediately. It's not more than 117,000, so I get to apply 35% to that. So let's make sure that math is right. Paul, check my math. So 88,800 times 0.35 is 31,080. Okay. So hopefully that's all correct. So then we just continue on. Now we get back to this line. This is number 9 line. Check. There we go. Good. Paul's got us. All right. So here we bring back that 3,000 that we took away. Why? Because that was 100%. The first 3,000 was 100%. So we got to bring it back. We just sat it to the side, and we're bringing it back now. And we added to that 31,000, which was the 35% of the portion that was over 3,000. Okay, so we add the 3,000. So that gives us 34,080. Okay, so that is for this multifamily dwelling, that is our general lighting and receptacle loads. So we knocked out all of that first step, right away. Got it taken care of. All right, the next thing we're going to move on to, okay, got that out of the way, is our appliances. Okay, now, pretty straightforward. I know it's hard to see the screen in the middle, so I'll tell you what the appliances are. We had electric water heater at 4,500 kW. We had a dishwasher at 10 amps at 120. We're going to have to convert that. We have a microwave oven that was 10 amps at 120. Okay. Now, obviously, they're telling us it's a microwave, so you know, and I know that it's not a countertop unit. You just stick on a counter that the tenant will bring of their own. This is a built-in one, cord and plug, something that has a load that we have to account for, so we're putting it in, all right? So it's a 10 amp at 120. We have an in-sink waste disposer at 7.5 amperes at 120. Okay. Now, the first thing that we have to realize is these are 12 units. Okay. So we're saying, okay, so we're doing this value here, saying, okay, what are we dealing with all of this applications, how we're dealing with everything here. Okay, so we had this water heater at 4,500 watts. How many units do we have? Think about it first. How many units? We have 12 units. So we're going to do 4,500 times 12. Pretty easy peasy. Okay. Right here, it gives you some reminders. It also gives you the code reference, right? Right here. Okay. So we're dealing with water heaters. So here it's 54,000, because that would be 4.5 or 4,500 times 12. That's what you're going to put right here. Okay. Same with the dishwasher. When I'm dealing with the dishwasher, it is 10 amps at 120. So I got to convert this to VA, right? So I'm going to go 10 times 120. 10 times 120. And that gives me 1,200. 1,200 times what? 12. 12 units. That's 14,400. That's why you got this number. Remember? We got 12 apartments. Next is the dishwasher. Disposer. Disposer, in-sink waste disposer, is 7.5 amps at 120. Okay. Now, just be aware that this could be in horsepower. And then you'd have to go to 430.248, and you would have to pull the horsepower's FLC, and then you'll get the amps, and then you multiply that by the volts they give you here in your question. And that's how you would convert it to get to VA. Okay. Here, it's simple. They've already given it. It says we know the amps, so we're able to just do this. Okay. So 7.5, or 7,500 if you want to work it out in a total VA. Excuse me. Let's just do 7.5, and I'll multiply that by 120, and that is 900. Okay, so I have 900 VA, right? And I'm going to multiply that by 12, and that is 10,800. Paul says it's correct. There we go. So we have 10,800. And then lastly, we have to deal with these microwaves. 10 amps at 120. Okay, that's what they gave us, so that's what we're going to use. This is what we compiled, all right? So in this case, it is 10 times 120. That is 1,200 times 12 units, and that is also 14,400. Now, add all this up. I'm assuming Paul has done the math, and we add all this up, then we'll get, what we'll get is 93,600 VA. Now, the next question that people ask me is, do I get to apply the demand factors of 220.53? And the answer to that is absolutely. People seem to think that it's 4 or more units per unit. No, it's collectively. Since we're doing this as a big whole, it's 4 or more units, okay? So obviously we've got 4 just in the water heaters because we got 12. So we definitely have 4 or more because you take them all. You don't just do it individually. We're not doing the loads to the individual dwelling units. We're doing the cumulative service right now, feeder calculation. So we're taking into the whole mass into account. So I clearly have more than 4. So I'm going to be able to apply the 75%. And that's given to us in 220.53, okay? And this applies to any fasten-in-place appliance that is rated a 4th horsepower or 500 watts or greater, okay? So that's your threshold of what appliances. Now, why is that significant? Because a couple cycles ago, people were using things like bathroom exhaust fans as little motors and little fasten-in-place appliances in order to game the system when it comes to being able to apply the 75%. And so those motors will not be a 4th of horsepower or greater. They will not be, okay? So, and they will not be 500 watts or greater. So they're going to be less than that. So they're not going to apply to this situation. This also typically would apply to ceiling fans. Your typical ceiling fan in your dwelling unit is not going to be something that you have to take into consideration as a fasten-in-place appliance. Now, if you live in you have this big commercial well, I'm not gonna say commercial. You have this big luxury apartment with this big industrial type of big, they call them what? What do they call them? Big ass fans. That's the trade. I mean, that is the marketing name for them. And that may have this big ass motor on it. I'll use their name. That's their name. That may be a fourth of horsepower or greater. Then you got to account for that. Okay. That's just going to be another appliance. You just account for it. But most of them are not. Okay. So you wouldn't add it in here. All right. So we're going to take that total of 93,600 and we most certainly get to apply this demand factor right here, right? So we're able to apply the 75% to that. So I'm going to take that 93,600 times 0.75, and that should be 70,200. And I believe Paul might have done the math on that, and he says it looks good. So we're good. Okay. So that's our number. So you write that down, okay? Now, here's something interesting also on these forms, just so you guys are familiar with the forms. Let me show you this here. If it works, let me go to the NEC here. No, it's not working. The form doesn't work, so it's not... Okay, so there you go. So it might be showing again. It's obviously EV Mux is messed up. So anyway, if you can see the form right here, I couldn't see it, but you could see it. You see that you have these hashtags right here. These are hashes. These hashes are meaning that you're going to be adding things up. When you see a solid block, that means that that's going to be part of your overall calculation. Okay. So if you've ever wondered how these forms work, that's what it means. So when you see these hashed blocks, that just tells you that it's all going to be part of a calculation and you're going to be adding things up. When you see these solid blocks, that is what you're going to be adding up at the end. Okay. So that's how these forms work, by the way, for those that aren't familiar with the forms. Okay. All right. So we have compiled now our general use and general lighting values. We have compiled our appliances. It's been easy, straightforward, not brain surgery, right? Nobody got hurt. Nobody was harmed in today's lesson. Okay, so that's where we're going to stop today. Just kind of give you an idea of what's going to be next. We're going to get into the clothes dryer. Actually, let's go on and knock that out while I got time, and I'll still do the drawings. I'm still going to give you giveaways. Let's go on and knock the dryer out because it is easy. All right, so in this scenario right here, let's go on and go to the next stage. This is the dryer. So obviously we're doing the standard method. So we're going to be in 220.54, okay, because we're doing the standard method, right? Okay. So again, get that hashtag win in there. We're going to do the spin here in a minute. John, welcome. All right. So in our case, our dwelling units, 12 of them here, our dwelling units has an electric dryer that's 5 kW. Now, notice down here where it says, if present, otherwise, skip to line 12. Why does it say that? I'm going to tell you why it says that. Just in case. If you get an exam and by chance you have a calculation like this or something like that, remember that clothes dryers are not the laundry circuit. Clothes dryers are not required. Now, they may be in your load calc, and they probably are going to be in your real world scenario. They're going to be in your list because everybody puts a dryer in, right? But they are not required. For example, if I have an all gas apartment and they put in the connection for the gas clothes dryer, then I do not have to account for and they don't put in the permanent provisions for the electric clothes dryer, like the receptacle. If they don't put that in, then I don't have to take into consideration for a clothes dryer, believe it or not. Some people don't know that. They think, oh, I always have to account for the 5 kW. That is not true. Not true. So if my dwelling doesn't have an electric clothes dryer, then I don't have to account for that load. The same thing with cooking. If I have gas cooking, there's nothing that says that I have to take into account cooking loads. Many people don't know that. What's up? Swartzy's in the house. Swartz in for the win. One day I'm going to catch up. Me and Swartzy are going to meet up somewhere. Big old hug. Great guy. So I mean, always great to see him. Okay, where are we at? All right, so there we go. So let's do this clothes dryer. Let's get this thing out of the way. Okay, and we'll look at the code if it works. Okay. All right. So again, and it also makes it very clear in 220.54. Go to your code book. Look, I don't know if it'll work for us. We'll go see. I'll see if the NEC is working. It's working. So let's see if we can go to the code book. And we'll go to 220.54 just to see it right here. All right, you see right here where it says right here, okay, shall be either 5,000 or the nameplate, whichever is larger. In our case, okay, Swartzy's doing a transform today. There you go. In our case, it was a 5,000 VA or 5,000 watt clothes dryer, so it made our life easy. But just remember, under the standard method, if it had been a 4,500, we're going to use 5, right? That's the standard method, okay? All right, so back to the lesson. Just wanted to make sure we're all clear on that. So ours is easy. We had 12 units. They're all 5 kW. So I'm able to do this here. So now watch this here first. Right? Watch this first. So I'm going to use 5. So some people would say, okay, well, I'm going to take 5,000 times 12, and they would put 60,000 down there, wouldn't you? But no, because in 220.54, even under the standard method, we get to do what? We get to apply some demands, don't we? So we're going to go over to the NEC, if it will let us. It doesn't want to. Okay. All right, so we'll go back over to here. I know that y'all see it. I can't see it. So we're going to remove it, and I'm going to add it again, and I'll maximize it. And hopefully I can see it at that point. All right, so now we come back here. All right, and how many do we have? We have 12 units. Okay, we have 12 units. Now, here's a little expression here. 47% is your base. Okay, 47% is your base, minus 1% for each dryer exceeding 11. Well, we have 12, so it's 1%. So instead of using 47%, we're going to take away 1% from that 47 because we exceed 11 by what? 1, because we have 12 units. So we're going to use 46%, right? You see how that works? All right, let's go back to the lesson. Okay, so what I'm going to do is take that original value that we had, which was 5,000 times 12, which is 60,000, times 0.46, because that's 46%. Okay, and if anybody didn't understand that, put it in the comments. I'll explain it again. Okay, I want to make sure you're clear. All right, so that's how we got 27,600, because we were able to apply a demand factor to that. Okay. Also remember that we can apply 70% to the neutral in this calculation. Okay. What's good for the goose is good for the gander. Right. So you'll see later when we do the neutral that now that we have the loads, that we can apply an additional 70% to the loads and get our neutral. But we're not going to mess with that right now. We're going to focus on sizing the service and stay focused on it. Okay. So that's how you do the dryer application, okay? Now, some people ask me, Paul, what if I don't want to use the allowances? Then if you want to put 60,000 in the real world right here, okay? And how much difference is that? Well, 60,000 divided by 240 is 250, and 27,600 divided by 240 is 115. It's obviously half the amps. So you're getting rid of over 100 plus, 150 plus amps right away just by using this allowance. Okay? I'm just saying. Makes sense. There's diversity in there. Okay? All right. So let's go to some giveaways. We struggled through this because it wasn't working. We'll see if this works. All right, let's do some giveaway. Folks, remember, get the hashtag win. I'm ready to give some stuff away or get you on the list. So let's go. I'm getting a massive list here of people. on the list. All right, we got to spin and see what you get, Alberto. Let's go. Let's go. Y'all been waiting for the giveaway. Let's go. Ultimate coin. Y'all have heard me say that. That's my favorite coin. It is, because I love to be able to have it make a decision for me. It's that type of thing. So let's go again. You ready? Let's go. Spin this sucker and see who we can get. If you're over on TikTok and you want to win, come on over. Come to YouTube. Always at Master the NEC. Share it with everybody. And make sure you join us tomorrow, because we're going to move into the cooking for this big party. Alexis Alves. Okay, Alexis Alves. Oh, my Alexis started. She thought I was talking to her. Let's go. Let's see. I think Schwartz is on the East Coast, and that might be further out, Tino. He probably doesn't have family members out there. I don't know. He says no, but you know what? Everybody's brothers somewhere in there. We're all related. Let's go. All right, Alexis, 12 months of Fast Tracks Tube. For those that have won that in the past, all you got to do is go over to fasttrackstube.com, fasttrackstube.com. Register at the top. You'll see member plan. Click on it. Sign up for a free membership. Set up your username or whatever, and we will elevate you. Okay. Okay. Adam's been driving. There you go, Adam. Yeah. Keep 10 and 2. Do we still do that? Is it 10 and 2? Is that how we do it now? Or do y'all just go with 12 and just let it ride? I'm just saying. All right, let's go again here. All right, Terrence. Let's see what we can get for you here on the spin. So we can get you in another drawing. Oh, by the way, most of those black screens that are coming out, they tell me it's probably my bandwidth, because I am using Starlink and it has a limited upload code. That probably will be resolved once we get the new system in here and the new speeds. So it'll only get better. All right, so here, okay, hey, you're in the drawing for the bidding software, Terrence. So that, in case anybody didn't know, that is called Best Bid Hybrid Next Generation. It is flat out the best bidding and estimating software, in my opinion, on the planet. It is so intuitive and easy to use. And then starting next Monday, I will be adding more spaces on the wheel for this software, because we want to get more people in the drawing for the software. Okay, because it's a great software. Give more people the options to be in on that drawing. Okay. So anyway, you're in on that drawing, Terrence. We'll let you know if you win. All right, let's do it again here. Let's go. More giveaways. Beto B. All right, over on Facebook. Okay, so we know Facebook is working. All right, Beto B, let's see what you get. Giveaway. Let's get something. That's a lot of spaces on that wheel. The goal is to keep adding stuff until they're really small, so it actually increases your odds. All right, conductor sizing card. And I should probably change that. It's actually trying to tell you what's the remainder on a reel. It's the reel length card. It's the conductor length card. I should probably change that. It's conductor length, not sizing, but same thing. All right, same thing. I mean, not really, but you know what I mean. All right, let's do one more real quick, guys. Let's go. See what it is. You're in on that drawing. Beto, we will be doing an episode where I show all the winners. No way. Wow. Okay. Hey, well, the wheel doesn't lie. Beto B, you got it again. It shows you. All right. I can hear Charlie now. I can hear him now. But let's go. It's just a random spinner. It stops wherever it stops. I can already hear Charlie. I can feel it. I can feel it coming. All right, Beto, 12 months of Fasttrack Tube. If you already have it, let me know. If you want an additional 12 months or want to extend it from wherever you're at, let me know. But you're in on it to get that Fasttrack Tube subscription over on there. And look at that. Look, guy comes in last minute, gets 2 spins. Did he come in late? I'm just saying, I don't know. I didn't pay attention to it. All right. Anyway, okay, back to me. All right, guys. Hopefully you enjoyed today's episode. We are digging into multifamily dwellings, and we have pretty much covered a lot. We covered the general use and general lighting for the multifamily dwellings, the 12 units. We added that up. We got the fixed, the fasten in place appliances. We added up. We even applied the demands for that. We are able to knock out the electric clothes dryer. Got that all knocked out as well. So we've worked our way. We've got some numbers down. We'll recoup those tomorrow to make sure we know where we're at. Beto hack the wheel. So you know what? I'm sure there's a way to do anything, right? But I don't know. It's supposed to be a random spinner. Who guesses? But I won't put anything past EV Mux because it's acting wonky these last couple of days. All right. But anyway, we'll do a follow-up quickly tomorrow, get you back into it, and then we'll go on and continue on this standard calculation for this 12-unit complex, and we'll show you how it breaks down. Okay, so hopefully you join us tomorrow for that journey as we'll continue in and do more on the multifamily dwellings on our quest to calculate this 12-unit complex. All right? All right, folks, catch you in the morning. Take care. God bless.